All right, we will call the Barnes County North School Board meeting to order. First order of business, recognize our visitors that are here, some teachers, thank you for being here, and then Mr. Severson, thank yous and congratulations.
Just a couple for the volleyball team, the cross-country team. We have one cross-country runner, has been doing really well, and I think he was hurt the other day, so he didn't participate, but he's been running really well. And then our volleyball team, if you were at the game last night, was a really good match. They played a lot better than they have, and things are picking up. So congratulations to all of them.
Thank you.
And then press record, because I went around and pressed all the power buttons, but you gotta press record right after.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, otherwise it shuts off.
It's all right.
Oh.
Fails in the downside.
Okay, agenda, do we have any updates or changes?
I have one change on, new business, number C, school parent family engagement policy approval. That word policy should be removed, otherwise it's gonna take two readings. Cause it's not a policy, it's an appendices from the Title I report.
Yeah, they've listed policy, and we've listed that every year, but if you wanna change that, that's fine.
Yeah, just for the lack of confusion. That's my motion.
Any other updates or changes? Okay, I need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I will make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in, how do I say that? All in favor, say aye.
Say aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, consent agenda. Any questions on minutes, bills, or the financial reports?
Whenever you guys make the motion for this one, since Michelle is here replacing Mike, you need to include in your motion that you're going to approve the Vice President Michelle Elston to sign minutes on the President's behalf.
All right, I'll make a motion for Michelle Elston to sign on the president's behalf and accept the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Yes. Roll call, Lindsay.
Rob,
Yes.
Chad,
Yep.
Michelle,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Oh, Cindy, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm gonna do spot you guys. Sorry, that's my fault. Motion approved for the consent agenda. All right, committee reports, president's report, none. Green Tech, I have that from Mike, so I'm gonna read it here. Greenhouse update, the high tunnel greenhouse has arrived. The soil has been removed from where the greenhouse will be placed. Construction trades class have begun measuring and marking the location for the dirt work needed to be able to pour the footings. They are also working on putting the hoop frames together. They are starting to set the forms this week, giving them an opportunity to work with concrete. The CTC state grant update, the architect provided them with the first look at drawings for an addition to the current center for the purpose of applying for the state grant for CTE. There are a couple different plans being worked on, and there is another meeting on Thursday. Mr. Severson, Mr. Schwer is hoping you'd have the opportunity to attend that meeting since he's not able.
It's on my list.
Perfect. Then they were informed of a pilot program with adult ed and state CTE that would allow certain adult ed students to take the CTE classes paid for with adult ed funding. An example would be GED students if they could commit to the time. Academy Pathway Pilot Program, the enrollment in this pilot program is 18 students, and they will continue with updates as they get farther into the program. Construction trades, the center will not be working with Valley Realty on an on-site house project this year. So as stated, the students started being involved with the greenhouse construction. The board had discussion about still building a home as a spec house to be sold at the end of the year or build for a buyer. The tech center will get some cost estimates and look at how that might be structured to protect the buyer as well as the center, as a bank can't give construction loans to the Cheyenne Valley Area Career Tech Center. It's not a bonded contractor. And then student enrollments, this was tabled to next meeting because Valley City Public can change classes for the first 2 weeks of school, so some of that is still going on. Mike says, if you have any questions, let him know, give him a call. That's all I have on that.
Just a little more insight
Oh,
on
sure.
that.
Wonderful.
The reason why the housing project couldn't go is because of the cost of lumber right now and not being able to afford.
So it's not.
Individual parent or whatever, that's one thing, but we need to just make sure that you're appropriately addressing if you're gonna be addressing coaches in any capacity.
Anything else with activities?
That's it.
All right, do we have a tech report?
I can just say quick that I pressed the power button on the swivel, and so we recorded a little bit, and then it shut off, and now we're recording again. So I don't know if there's anything that we have to do for that, but that's why the mics weren't staying on.
And I know today she sent out emails about it and whatnot, that she's starting to go over in the ed chats, over the
ISTE standards, yeah.
Again, this has been a couple of years since those have been reviewed, so I know she's starting that.
Perfect. Thank you. Policy committee report.
Sorry, we didn't record some of it.
We met last night, or Monday night, let's all run together. A couple of the things, let's see, what do you have, what was we talked about, what was the first one? I can't remember which one was first.
We talked we talked about the facilities
Yep.
use agreement.
Yep. What question came up when some of the people filled out their facility request for usage, they saw the liability, or not the liability, but the insurance. So what we've talked about is if they're gonna host an event, they need the insurance. If they're going to have practices, they need to come up with some statement of liability and have their people that are gonna be there, having to, sign off on the liability or whatever, So basically it was that we just wanted to make sure that we just had the liability, that they had to have the insurance on the event. So, like I said, Dollars for Scholars will probably be covered under their umbrella. Jody's gonna get the archery stuff. You know, if anybody has an event, they just need to get covered, so. And then the other one was. That whistleblower, when we talked about that one, that, we're going to start having everybody sign off. We're gonna start with the staff and then move forward on it, cause it says either should or will, and when we have passed the policy last year, or in 17 or 18, it was should. So we determined that should would be, we need to get started on getting everybody to sign off on it at some point. And then the other was the long-term sub, and I sent the policy committee that, what I got from Amy Kopus regarding what they say, and what they recommend is not a contract, just an agreement, just an administrative regulation stating that days 1 through 10, or the first 2 weeks, days 1 through 10 are at regular sub pay. Above 10 is at base pay divided by 182, whatever it is, whatever the daily rate is for a teacher. And then what I'd like to add, if you're okay with it, is that being this an administrative regulation, the administrators have the authority to, I think I put it, I can't remember how I worded it, but it was.
To move her or approve as needed
At their
without
discretion.
starting over.
At their discretion. At their discretion. So, and basically that was because we wanted to cover, if somebody's in there for 10 days and then the 11th day they have to move for some reason, or we put them somewhere else, that doesn't start over after that. We wanted to make sure that Mr. Wilson and Mrs. Bussey have the option of moving them. They've also visited with them to know that there might be a day that they have to take off, but if they've committed to this time frame,
They've signed that
yeah,
agreement.
when they've agreed to that, after that 10 days, then they would become base teacher pay. So I don't know if we need to motion that because it's gonna be an administrative regulation, or if we just have consensus to do it. I'll write it up and make sure that Deb and Lindsay have copies so that they know when those sheets come in, what the pay is. And then we'll figure something out when, like, right now, we have somebody in for Mrs. Amon, so we'll just figure out how we wanna have that agreement so that they understand the agreement too, and for everybody, so.
Will
But if-
that pay rate after 10 days?
Base pay, it'd be the base, so I think
It's 41,500 divided
Divided
by
by
182, so it's like $228.
Teacher
Yep, the base pay, so, yeah, 41.5 divided by the 180, and I think you'd said it was like 228 or something in that vicinity, so. And then that would go from day 11 till they're out. And if you're okay with that, we will write it up and make sure we've got it going forward.
Can you just send it though so everyone can
Yep.
see it on,
Yep.
so we know what's being?
Yep.
Because is there an end date? Start date, end date on the agreement? Is that?
Well, we had
have it.
talked about that, but we said, well, what if it extends, you know what I mean? Like,
So, right, just for instance,
so-and-so
she's out
could
for
be
4
out
weeks.
sick, but come the 4 weeks, something comes up, we don't want,
Then you would extend it.
Mm.
it would just be until she's not in there for her because of this situation, yeah.
Do we have
Okay.
anything else for that?
No, I know we went through we went through 3 or 4 B policies, and nothing was changed on any of them, so there wouldn't be any readings or anything like that, so. Well, we're meeting again on the 13th of October at 6 o'clock. And then, just so you're aware, the next board meeting is the 19th, it's a Tuesday night instead of a Wednesday night, next month.
Thank you.
What's the date? Oh,
The
That
19th.
19th is gonna be your next meeting, is a Tuesday night. Just so you're all aware of it, make sure you don't put down the Wednesday night, because we always do that Tuesday night on
Is
October.
it my speech time?
Elementary principal.
Here we go, Rob.
My computer is dead, that's the only reason I'm getting up. Actually, I have it typed, I just need it as a reminder, Rob.
It's that long, Rob.
We were trying to wear her out talking before the meeting.
Can't blame me.
I'm having difficulties. Okay, so, elementary was signed up to do kitchen concessions 2 days, September 30th and October 5th. When I was at a conference today, I was texted saying that the juniors really need money. They have none, and so, we're no longer doing concessions on September 30th as the juniors are taking that over. And Lindsay and I have discussed ways to use the Small Rural School Achievement grant. It's called SRSA. We had talked about this in the budget meeting at 6. And she recommended to find a way to use it all in one chunk. So I read through, and one of the things in there that qualified for that grant was to enhance our art or music program. And so Tina and I connected with Melissa Spelchin, I think is how you say her last name. And she's setting us up with artists in residences, if that's how you would say it. And I just got an email from her today that she confirmed the 1st and 2nd grade week-long. So they'll be split into groups. I think it's like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Per 1st grade is shorter time, but on October 25th through the 29th, we had brought up, Tina had said in the past we had done host families for our Missoula Children's Theater, and this is one who would be open to that. She's from Watford City, so that we don't have to do the transportation from Jamestown daily to get here. So if you're willing, I would totally offer our home, but we don't have a roof on it yet. I know I know some great people close by that might have a room, but, she said she was more than willing to do a host family in the area or a place to stay, and she'll be here throughout the school day. If you know of anybody who would be willing to work with us on that, that'd be great. The dates are October 25th through the 29th.
Does she babysit?
Right? Probably for a cost, right? We are looking into getting film, they're called film dudes out of Minot for the 5th and 6th graders. And they're not available till January is what she reported today. I said we're flexible with time. I'd rather have a good fit artist with our kids and wait and do it in January. Then we don't have to worry about the funds being spent at a certain time or anything, any time this year, so. And then we're looking at another one, for our 3rd and 4th graders, but they haven't returned the emails from Melissa. Our reading corps, we got everybody assessed and placed, and right now we have 16 students in that. I guess that's the only thing to say about that right now.
How many students you got?
16. So she's on a full-time contract through SEEK. I know there was some confusion about who actually hires her. We got the grant, so we didn't have to pay $5,000 last year. This year we paid $5,000, but she's a staff of SEEK and they take care of everything else, so there's some confusion. Do you have questions?
We pay SEEK and SEEK pays her.
Yes, so we pay SEEK, I shared this information when we were talking about hiring, we pay SEEK $5,000 with her monthly pay and her college stipend, it comes out to be like 13,000 some. So they pay an extra 8,000 just for us to have her and to do the program. I didn't get a chance to give out or to tally up the house points as I was at a conference. I went to the Title IX conference yesterday with Mr. Severson, and then stayed in Bismarck and went to the principal's boot camp today. And then we have so far written 52 Bison Pride cards for staff and students from the elementary side. And then the only other thing I have before my speech is that Mrs. Brin and I connected. Now that we're trimesters, the quarter ends before the trimester, so she's going to present data for both at the board meeting after the trimester. So she's going to go from presenting 4 times to 3 times, and then she'll just lump that high school data together. And then another thing that I wanted to say that's not on my notes is that I appreciated the board member who reached out to me when we had an incident happen in our community, because I've asked for board members to call or to reach out before, but it allowed Mr. Severson and Mr. Wilson and I to connect and formulate a plan. We're able to get the right people in the building at the right time and meet with the staff in the morning, address concerns, and take care of things, whereas I don't feel like I was blindsided with information coming from the community so I wanted to say that I appreciated that part coming from the board, and that I was really proud of our staff and how they handled things. So not something I want to go through anytime soon ever again, but
I will second that from what I saw, so thank you. Anything else?
yeah, questions?
The SRSA grant,
Yes.
is that just for elementary?
It's a title.
It basically says that it applies to anything that title qualifies
Applies for.
But you still can't supplement or supplant, so it has to be for something new
So
that would also qualify for title.
title is K. There's still discrepancy on that. And
That
so,
we need to find out.
yes. Yeah, unfortunately it is. I would love to be more, but
I was just curious.
yes, it is because it is title funds.
Okay. That all, Mrs. Bussey?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's, wait, sorry, is that something that will need approval once we get the final cost?
Yes, we should.
Okay, so once I get the final numbers and cost, I will get that information to Lindsay to send it out so that we could get approval at the next board meeting.
Mr. Wilson, 712 principal.
We had a guest speaker yesterday, Jason Allert. He came in to talk to the juniors and seniors about the trade industry apprenticeship programs that are out there. There's a lot of good information that I think your students didn't realize. He did a good job of being able to explain and walk the kids through the process, you know, the five-year process, the amount of money that they're able to make each year as it progresses, the number of hours. I mean, a lot of them revolve around, usually around 6,000 on-the-job training hours, and then sometime in the classroom, you know, anywhere between 400 and 600 hours in the classroom as well. But they're learning that trade in the classroom and then going out and applying what they're learning and just having that as another option as opposed to just going to work, or if they're undecided for college and stuff like that, that it's just another avenue that they're able to go through and all the opportunities that they have and the locations of those. So it was good information.
Can I ask a question about
Yep.
that? Is it possible when we have those types of presentations to have them recorded? I'm just thinking that that would be a really
Yeah,
cool thing for our, or is that not allowed?
actually, that's something that I forgot because the psychologist that we're connecting with through Sanford is doing a social media dangers workshop for parents, and we're live streaming that. They might not allow live streaming.
But to record?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that would have been a really cool thing
It would-
for students who might not be able to completely explain what they heard,
Probably depend on
the person,
the person and the contractor.
just for future.
Okay.
Anything else? Yeah. Do you have more? Mr.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I was just
figured-
writing
I
down
figured you
that
did.
suggestion, so look at it.
Okay.
On September 20th, on Monday, the juniors and seniors will be attending the college fair at UJ from 1 to 3 to go over. It's been a year and a half since we were able to actually be involved in one of those, so it will be nice for those and get as many of those as we can. We have another one coming up in October, so we're trying to get to as many of those kind of things as we can be in case things change and we're not allowed face-to-face things in the future. FCCLA will be going to Jamestown on September 22nd. And the counselor and I will be attending the Choice Ready workshop in Fargo on October 11th to get familiar with all the new changes within Choice Ready as far as that goes. And then the last thing I got, this summer I went to, my youngest daughter Savannah and I, we went to Washington DC on a school trip through World Classrooms. It got delayed because of COVID. We were supposed to go at the end of her 8th grade year, started during her 7th grade, but went at the end of her freshman year. And we were there for 4 nights, 5 days. Parents have the option of being able to go as well if they want to. But they give you about 18 months to raise the funds or make payments to be able to pay for it. And they really take care of everything. They're responsible for supervising the kids, so the parents that go there, even the school chaperones. I mean, the assistant principal from the middle school was there, but he didn't have to do anything. They take care of everything, lining up meals, everything. They're well versed in everything that's there because they're continually going back and forth each week, and the tours are great. We went to everything that you could imagine. Some of the places still weren't allowing visitors, like the museums, you couldn't go in, but a lot of the places that we went to, and it was really, really awesome. It was one of the only cities that I haven't ever spent any time in, and it's like a precursor to, okay, we gotta get back here to spend more time at places or whatnot. And I bring it up because I'm in conversations, and when we were on the last night, I got to talk to the owner, and they're based out of South Dakota. And talking to the owner and going, I would like to bring this to my school, I just fear we're too small and we wouldn't be able to get it. And he goes, the smaller schools are just fine. You know, Jamestown said 2 different groups, and the group that we were with had 49 kids, so I was worried about numbers. And he's like, no, that we specialize with the smaller schools. So I would like to be able to have them come out and meet with parents or whatnot. And what we were looking at is we would probably go with the 7th and 8th graders. And it would be an every other year type thing. So this year's group of 7th and 8th graders would then go at the end of their 8th and 9th grade year that summer. That's when they would go. So they would have that period of time to be able to raise the funds and get it paid for the trip. And then that would give a new group of 7th and 8th graders to come in and then be able to do that, just to see if it's something that we would be interested in doing. I mean, I've talked to some people that have kids that are that age, just to get an idea if it's worth it to go forth, and, you know, I've been told yes, you know, from them, that just have the opportunity. If there's no interest, there's no interest, but I would at least like to present it and give the option.
When
as far as that goes.
when I taught, we did that. We had, the Rolls Rides we went with, but, the 7 students that I took out there loved it. Because it was a small group, so they just attached us to another smaller school.
Yep.
But it was amazing. 'Cause I took, at the time, there was 2 juniors, 3 juniors, 2 seniors, and I think a freshman or sophomore.
Mr. Wilson, is that different than close-up?
Yes, it is.
It is
Yep,
different?
yep.
Oh, okay.
They specialize with the younger groups. And,
Okay.
and through it, the reason why is you're not gonna get very many parents that are gonna go with their kids that are juniors and seniors or whatnot. But as 7th and 8th graders, there were 49 students and there were 30 of us parents.
Will you open it for the older classmen to get a chance if they want it to go with this first group?
No.
But I echo you, Mr. Wilson. I went to DC too, and it is an amazing city.
So on this one, does parents pay their way too with
Yep,
both
yep,
students?
Yep. So just an idea, like, for Savannah and I to go, the payment was, I think it was, if we would've made payments, it would've been $161 a month, is what it would've been, you know, to go, so.
How much was the total cost? Did you, and I'm sure that fluctuates
Yeah.
to
I
some
mean,
point.
It was, I think, around $4,000
Okay.
or something around there, but I mean, it was worth it. I mean, the place that we stayed at was right down in the marina area. It had an amusement park type, this big old Ferris, I mean, it was, I would say, like a 7-star resort. I mean, the nicest, gym facility I've ever seen in a hotel, you know, and you don't get nickel and dimed. I mean, they cater the food that you go and you eat, and it's top-notch food.
What was the name of the outfit?
The company is called World Classrooms.
People go to hotel gyms?
It was.
Some people just pack their
Oh,
clothes,
that's what I'm good at.
but don't use them. That's awesome. Anything else?
Nope, that's all I got.
All right, thank you, that sounds great. Superintendent, anything?
Yep, first, we had the policy committee Monday night. And then we'll meet again on the 13th of October at 6 o'clock. On Tuesday morning, Mrs. Bussey and I were at a Title IX training in Bismarck. and Mr. Wilson and Mrs. Kudina, we're doing it virtually. They'll be watching, we have to take they said we could use their PowerPoint and post it on our website to show that we have been trained in Title IX. It's a requirement that we do that. Tuesday night, last night there was a volleyball game. This morning I was in Jamestown at a mandatory North Dakota High School Activities Association meeting. And we had the tax hearing and school board tonight. Tomorrow morning, as Michelle mentioned, we got the Career Academy meeting in Valley City, volleyball tomorrow night. And then I've got a Cheyenne Valley Special Ed meeting on Tuesday, the 21st in Maple Valley. Wednesday, we've got our NDASA meeting virtually because we've got some of the schools in the southeast have been hit with COVID. So they're backing off on face-to-face meetings. The training that was required through by the board on the last meeting will be held on Tuesday, October 5th, and that'll be for Mrs. Bussey, Mr. Wilson, and myself on investigations. Amy DeCook is coming out to do that at 10:30. We got our, I think that's, then remember the board meeting is on the 19th, this next month instead of the Wednesday night, it's a Tuesday night.
Who all will attend that meeting on the 5th?
Mr. Wilson, Mrs. Bussey, and I.
Is there one other?
That's for Title IX.
That's our Title IX training, you gotta have 4 people.
Could you see if there's an updated template for the actual policy for
Title IX, yep,
for discrimination?
the Title IX one.
Well, we don't have a Title IX policy, but it says harassment and discrimination. That's what our
We have that one,
policy
don't we?
says, AAC. And
We had
so
that one, yeah. So which one do we need?
I would ask, like, if they have an updated
Updated one.
template with the new, cause as we're in the training yesterday, I was making notes on what we have for our policy now and the things that, like, they have new definitions, and so I don't know if they just have an updated template that would be easier, or if we're going to try to make sure we have everything that is new in ours, so. And
That's
Lindsay
AAC?
said it, is it AAC?
AAC, non-discrimination and anti-harassment policy.
Yeah, that was the only thing I found that connected,
Okay.
that stated Title IX, but Lindsay, you said access to a certain amount of templates, policies, and I don't.
Policy service, I think we get 5 a year and then we have to
Don't,
pay
I
for
thought
them.
we paid for a subscription.
We did, but I think you only get 5 free ones. so-
Okay, even with the, okay,
Yeah, even with the, that's part of your policy services, they give you 5 free ones and then you have access to the rest of them.
do you know where we're at? Cause I feel like we requested a few.
Oh, I'm sure we're probably out, we'll probably
Oh,
have to
are
start
we?
paying for them. So I know we've requested 3 so far, and this will be the
Okay.
4th, so.
Do you actually talk to someone, or do you just go on the website and request them?
I get them from Rebecca Dubin. And the policy services, all that does is gives us access to it, and then they give you the first 5, I think is free, but I'll check with that too, but yeah, the policy services just gives you access to what they have, and then you have to pay for what they have.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Family Connection Report, we had a meeting, and I can't remember the date off the top of my head, so I didn't write it down. We're doing a logo contest with our students to come up with a logo for the Barnes County North Family Connection, AKA PTO group. We're surveying, or a survey went out again to the staff because, please tell me you all got it, Mr. Schaefer, Mr. Arnold, Mr. T, did you
Yep.
get a survey? Okay. A survey just to see where we, as the BCN Family Connection, can put funds towards to bring something that's either missing or could enhance what's already being taught. So we're waiting to get information on that. And then we've talked with Charleston Rap. It's a fundraising group and it's all done online. And so we're working with them to set up dates to get that done. And basically what Charleston Wrap is, it's anything you can almost think of, from food to wrapping paper to dishes, I mean, just anything. It's like, and it's good quality stuff, it's not cheap stuff. And so we're gonna try to run it so that if we're able to get it through and work, to run it so that everyone can get their items before Christmas, so for the holidays. So that would be starting in October, and so we are gonna fill out the fundraising event form here, requests. So, anyone have any questions about that?
With the survey, was it the same one that was sent out before?
It was, but there was added questions, cause we tweaked it a little bit to
Okay.
get a little more information out of everybody.
So, some of the feedback that
Sure.
I heard was, the amount of filling in, like if they have you guys talked about ideas that would help the teachers come up with?
Well,
Yeah,
and this
so-
is, we talked about it, but we left it open-ended because we want
On
the
purpose,
te-
yes.
we're not in the front lines like they are. We
Mhm.
want to know what's gonna help enhance your classroom. Cause that's what we're here for. We're not here to take over anything, but we wanna enhance what they're doing. And so what do
Absolutely.
they feel is missing? Like, we've talked, Mrs. Bessie, you and I, about the artist in residence, so that's exciting that that's already coming in. And we
Yeah.
have some ideas for that, but we thought, let's get their input to make sure we're doing what they want or need.
Absolutely, I
Okay.
agree. I just wanted to make sure that that was heard.
That was her,
Yeah.
okay. Anything else? Any questions? All right, old business, the Wimbledon Holiday Happenings event was canceled.
Yep.
Nothing else on that?
Nope.
Approval of the budget, 21-22 budget approval. Does this, my question is, does this change because of the audit?
No.
No.
Okay.
Just one thing, Mr. Schaefer asked me a question after the public hearing. On page 1, under the contingency amount, it's 33,000. Contingency is to be used if we have additional expenses. One of those additional expenses that's not gonna be typical is, an ND Fit payment that is due, like an advance payment. And I have those figures now. I didn't when I did this budget, so I was just kind of shooting from the hip with what they had given me as preliminary numbers. So there could end up being a little extra money in contingency, but I have a whole thing we need to kind of discuss with ND Fit under farther down. So I don't know how much you want me to address here. That answers the questions on that number.
Any other questions?
Make a motion to approve the budget.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? This roll call.
Yes.
Roll call.
This from here.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Chad.
Yep.
Cindy.
Yes.
Lee. Michelle.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. That's the vice president.
And it's, right, I know, right, and motion passes. Next, continuity of services plan.
Yep, and that is, we talk about this every month. You received the letter that I sent to you, or the email that I received, an open letter to superintendent, school boards, and parents regarding the North Dakota Academy of Family Physicians. At this point, we've had 2 positive cases in the school, both 9th graders. And so I don't believe that we need to do anything at this point, but if you want to discuss, or you want to just say, let's continue going forward and monitor and come back as needed, or what you want to do.
I make a motion, just continue what we've been doing.
Yeah, they can mask at their own discretion to this point, and if we need to make a change, let us know.
Yeah, I don't think we need a motion. If we're just gonna stay the same, I think we're good. It just, want to make sure that we do this every month so that we've got it documented, that we've talked about it. Okay?
All right, thanks. Next, ND Fit update.
So we completed the enrollment, the first week of school, kind of. It was not a pleasant experience for most people, but we powered through it, got everybody that wanted to be enrolled. The first item is the deposit. These payments are not gonna be invoices anymore, they're all gonna have to be ACH payments. So the deposit amount is $21,740, and my understanding, as of right now, it's gonna be drafted from our bank on September 24th. So that potentially could change if other schools don't get their paperwork completed, because they have had to push deadlines because it requires every school that's participating to all be completed at one time. So that's the most recent information I've been given. So the next part of it is the monthly payment will also need to be an ACH, and the most updated information I have on that is that they're thinking that I will be notified of the amount around the 15th of the month, and it will be due, pulled from your account on the 1st. So if that is how it happens, it will appear on the board reports for that month. If it ends up that it gets drafted and has to be due before the 1st of the month and comes out like the 30th or 31st of the prior month, then it's not gonna be on the board reports. And so when you guys approve the bills, if that were to happen, I'm gonna have to bring that number to you separately, and it's gonna have to just be approved. I don't know any other workaround to make sure that that's.
Well, it should carry to the next month then
But
if it comes in.
you only get a bills report for the current month.
Right, but it would be,
So if I pay it if it comes out of the bank on September 24th, which is gonna happen, you've already seen all the bills I've paid for September. Then when we come to the October meeting, you're only gonna get the October bills.
You won't see it.
You won't see that unless I bring that specific number to you and tell
See
you. So
everything
that's,
a month late,
that's
but
how
you
I'm
won't.
gonna
Yeah.
address it. I don't know how else to fix it. I spoke with, I think her name is Brenna, and kind of expressed my concerns and told her how we have been doing it before, and she said they had a meeting coming up, so nothing was really official on their end yet, but that's where she understood that it was coming from. So if you guys are okay with that, how I propose addressing it, I guess, I would need a motion to approve that 21,740, because it's not included in the bills list. And then we'll see what happens for October.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Will the monthly rate after that be the same every month?
It should be unless someone needs to add or remove coverage. It should be.
but do we know what the monthly rate is after?
I don't right
We do
now.
not yet.
But once we know that, we could just okay it going forward.
We could, and if there's a change, then I could present that change to you.
Any other? Roll call.
Rob?
Yes.
Chad?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Brett?
Yep.
Eric?
Yes.
Okay, that motion carried. Was there anything else in old business that we missed?
Thank you, Lindsay, for all of your help during that process too.
Welcome.
She, I told her she needs a TV screen on her wall so we could view what's going on, but I used her services to enroll, so.
Thank you, Lindsay.
What percentage of people went into that then?
Oh, that is beyond my understanding. I don't even have a good report that I can look at right now of who's enrolled. I have to pull up each person individually, so, yeah, I don't have an answer for you right now. I can try to have one for next month, but it's new for everyone, so they literally just generated a report that some people can see. And because we're unique and each individual person has a different rate based on their age, they can't even tell me what rate the employer pays versus the employee. So I've had to manually take last year's rates from Blue Cross Blue Shield, reduce them 2%, and then give everyone a year of experience increase.
It's been a
Confusing.
process.
Yep. Well, thank you.
Can I ask one more,
Yep.
like our continuity of services? Where are we at for games then on that? Just
For what?
As
for
normal.
games.
There's
Just all
no
normal.
restrictions, no.
All right, new business, the convention, NDSBA convention
Yes,
on
so.
October 28th and 29th.
Yep, it's October 28th, 29th in Bismarck. Eric is required to attend the new member seminar on the 28th.
It's not gonna get canceled because of COVID.
I doubt it. I
No.
don't know. The deadline for me to get
Not
our
in
hotels
Bismarck.
booked is September 30th. So if you guys could get information back to me, maybe by the end of next week, would put us ballpark there, so I can follow up if I haven't heard from you. If you want a hotel and for what nights you want it.
What is that day, Friday?
The 25th, 24th, I think, is Friday.
That works.
And I sent out the tentative schedule with the board packet. If you need one, I have them here somewhere, so.
Who was going to that again?
For sure,
Website.
Eric.
Eric is required to go to it. I'll be going because I have business manager training the day before, so.
Does anyone else right now know they're going?
I went once with you, I don't know if I could go again.
Don't know if you can handle it.
Yeah.
When does it
Wasn't for
start?
Cindy, we'd have never made it.
the
The new
28th.
member seminar is the 28th. I
Do you know what
believe
time?
registration and stuff starts at 7, and I think the actual seminar starts at 8.
I would probably drive that morning. I
Oh,
won't stay the
okay.
night before.
Okay.
They have a bigger breakfast than we do.
That's bus driver early.
All right, so everyone, whoever's going needs to let you know by the 24th. Okay. Next, school compliance report approval.
And that's just, Mr. Wilson went through and signed off on the high school end, Mrs. Bussey signed off on elementary end. And then I looked through that and approve it, and then you guys need to, make a motion that that you have trusted that the administrators have done their job in school compliance, and I can submit that tomorrow morning.
Any,
Oh, I'll make a motion.
second,
I can do that.
any discussion? All right,
I
roll
hope they're
call.
not.
Rob. Rob.
What, yes.
Chad.
Yes.
Distraction.
Yeah. Michelle.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Good. All right, next, school parent and family engagement approval. Did everyone have time to read that? Long?
This is what we're, yeah, it's the policy that we have.
I believe nothing's really changed from
No,
last year.
nothing's changed from many years.
Many years, okay. Okay.
Sarah and Lisa do a wonderful job making sure it's,
Yeah.
No. So I'll make that motion.
Okay,
to accept.
I'll second. Any more discussion? And roll call.
Rob.
Yes.
Chad.
Yes.
Cindy.
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
All right, next is the audit update. Lindsay.
I knew this had to get contentious eventually.
So, I sent out a copy of a letter that was sent to me that I received on Tuesday from the state auditor's office stating that they are no longer accepting audits from Harold Rotunda. And so this kind of came up in a weird way because I was taking one of my business manager certification classes and had an assignment to go to the state auditor's website to answer some questions, and ours weren't there. The last one there was 2017, and the rest say delinquent.
oh,
So I reached out to the instructor of this class and asked who was responsible for submitting them, because maybe it was me, I don't know. And he said that there's really no requirement of who submits them, but he would say it was standard practice that your auditor submits them. So I reached out to Harold and asked why they weren't submitted, and he told me that the state auditor was very slow at uploading them. Well, I knew that wasn't true because I had looked at other schools and theirs were up to date unless Harold was their auditor. So I spoke to some people at the state auditor's office. First I spoke to Paula, and she gave me an email and just told me to send the audits, so I did that. Then she returned my message a couple hours later and said that she has been informed that they'll no longer be accepting audits from Harold. And then she transferred me to her manager, who I left a voicemail for, and his name is Dan, and I have since spoken to him several times. So I'm just gonna give you a summary of what Dan has told me over the course of the last couple of weeks. So they sent a request to Harold asking for his working papers He had a 2-week time frame to get those back. So this would have happened regardless if I checked on it or not. This was all in the process before I even asked. It was just strictly a coincidence. And Harold has not responded to that request to submit his working papers. So it's basically as if the audits never happened. And all audits since 2017 have been rejected. Like I said, we would have received notice even if I hadn't reached out. Dan sent me to the State Board of Accountancy to find out who is licensed to do government audits in the state. The state does them, but they are currently waiting list only. We could go on the waiting list and still look for another auditor. I spoke with him again today, and they're thinking their time frame would maybe be spring before they could look at ours. And when spring comes, they basically are gonna have time to do 8 or 10 people, and they're gonna pick you from a list. It's not a guarantee. When I was speaking to a different auditor, because I've called several, she had mentioned that the modified cash basis that we were being audited under was no longer acceptable, but the state verified that that's not true. Modified cash basis is currently acceptable, but the goal would be to get to GAAP after this. I also sent Harold a copy of this letter when I received it and asked him if he was working to rectify the situation, and his reply was that he's working on it. Sorry for the inconvenience. It was just a short one-line thing. So I asked Dan today when I talked to him if there was the option for him to rectify it. He basically said that he can submit his work papers, and if they're accepted, then yes, technically he could, but he doesn't think that that can happen based on his work papers that they've received for other audits. And if ours are in the same boat, they would never be accepted. I asked if there was a deadline to get these completed, and he said in theory, no, because there just isn't the capacity at the state anywhere to get them completed quickly. Typically, we have done an audit every year. The law requires that we have one done every 2 years. And he said that it's definitely preferred that you have one done every year, but that it would be acceptable to do 18 and 19 together, and then to do 20 and 21 together, just to save some costs and to save some of these auditors some time. So I have reached out to Lovickson and Braun and LaRue Lockout in Valley City, and neither one of them do it. I spoke with Schauer and Associates, and she was the one that mentioned the issue on modified cash basis. She is busy for at least 9 months, and their cost for 1 year would be between $20,000 and $25,000. But hers would comply with all government standards. I visited with the person that answered the phone at Rath and Meyer. They're full. He was going to leave a message with Jason. They are, quote, aware of our situation, and I haven't heard back from them. I had left a message for Brady Martz initially, and I heard back from Matt today. He's thinking it would be next year before they could get to it. He's going to talk with his partner Brian to see about an exact timeline and cost, because he was thinking from the message he received from the person that answered the phone that it was going to be for 1 year. He didn't realize it was going to be 4. I have spoken with Derek at Ide Bailey, and he is also, quote, familiar with our situation. Their fees are significantly higher. He ballparked $20,000 to $30,000 just to get started with the 18 and 19 audit.
That would be for a 2-year audit?
That's how he said it, and he said this is just strictly him trying to help me out and get me some kind of a figure. That's not an official quote from him by any means. His availability would be to do something preliminary in November or December, and then pick it back up again after tax season next year. And I had sent him our last audit so he could see what it looked like. Whitmer Roll is probably the person that I've had the most interaction with, and he's been really helpful, and he's helped me answer questions. He said that we'd need to be flexible on time, but he would likely be able to start this fall with completion by mid-year next year. And he's the one I got an official proposal from, and I sent that out today. if you haven't seen it yet, I do have a printed copy if you want one. But their cost would be 12 to 15,000 per year. If it was a combined audit, which means you do 18, 19 together, 20, 21 together, it would be 10 to 13,000 per year. It looked like they would waive the $2,500 setup fee and then $500 a year for travel and postage costs. He said that the modified cash basis is not a problem, but he would recommend us getting to full GAAP once these are completed. And then I also spoke with West Fargo Tax and Accounting and spoke to a lady there, and she was gonna have someone give me a call, but I haven't heard back from them.
Is this being discussed on your listserv? No, like, cause other schools have to be experiencing the same.
And I don't know
So-
who's received their letter and who hasn't, so.
So you're probably just ahead of the game, so other schools who have used him are going to be,
Right.
okay. Cause I'm assuming this is going to be going at the hot topic among
Yeah,
like
and
business
it's not
managers.
just schools, he did some counties too, I believe, so, and cities and local governments. So I don't know what I need tonight, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. The biggest questions that I've been asked by this Craig primarily, because that's who I've talked to the most, and I've told them that I'm new, is do you have access to the papers from 2018? And my words were, I should. I mean, I'm not gonna go preliminary dig through boxes because I don't even know what I'm looking for. Because I don't feel that we've had a real legitimate audit completed since I've been here, so I don't know. Harold was here the last week in August, and I took his USB drive and downloaded all my reports for him and everything. He knew this was going on, and he still proceeded to come and attempt to service us, so I don't know. I didn't know what was going on at that point, but he did.
Those places that you contacted and you informed the board about, would they then take over doing that? Would we, or are they just?
Getting us
They would, specifically Craig at Widmer Roll, because that's who I have an official proposal from. It says in his proposal that they're waiving the $2,500 fee because they would like to have a continued relationship.
Yeah,
And that they would, answer calls and answer questions as they were needed, for free, basically, unless it was something, majorly expensive, but. And like I said, I have copies of that proposal if you want to see them. So, or haven't had a chance to look at it.
You've sent them out to us?
I sent it
Yeah.
this morning or this afternoon, because that's when I received it, probably around 3 o'clock,
Yeah, it was later in the day.
so the one you got the proposal from sounds like the best option, just based on time, money, and the relationship
Willingness and-
they've
yeah.
built with you by responding.
So,
So, I mean, if you guys want, to proceed with them, with the proposal we have,
Have you ever had this?
I almost feel like if other, so what do we,
I think we need to reach out and see where he's at on this, or when we need to get this straightened out. This is far from an isolated situation. I'm looking on the state auditor's website here, and you go to Barnes County, Harold's done the ones for there. They're delinquent and not reported, but then I go to Benson County, and they're done by Brady Martz, a different company. And their 2018s and 19s are delinquent, and 2020s not received.
or what are you looking at? Because a lot of them were good when I looked.
Office of the State Auditor.
Are you looking at schools or counties?
I'm looking at counties,
Look
and I
at
was
this.
looking at schools
Okay.
too earlier. But, that might cause me to question, is it something in their system also?
Do I even dare say who he did the audit for? That is probably the biggest problem.
I would not.
Well, we know which one it is, I already see it on there.
Okay.
They got their own special column in here.
Do you think they would be understanding if you, cause it sounds like you talk to him often, and you say, the board needs to approve this, I feel like they need to have a committee meeting or two to
Oh, this
discuss,
Craig?
yes.
I mean, I've talked to him 3 times in the last week, that's what I know of.
And then that way it gives them time to figure out that side, but then you're still having that conversation with him, and like, I don't feel like we should just stop talking to him, you know what I mean? Kinda let him know the process of what happens. of how it's approved, how we hire them, so that,
So do we have any, I mean, is there anything else?
Is there anything
that we
else you'd
can-
like
I-
me to do to find out?
I still think the finance committee needs to sit down
yeah.
and go through it. But if we're, it's hard to say, cause I mean, if, like you said, some schools may not have gotten the letter yet.
Right.
So it's gonna be a mad rush for anybody to try to find accountants that are willing to do that. And some, the ones you talked to already were
I've had.
next summer
Out of
sometime.
all of them that I've talked to, I've had 3 that haven't been flat nose or no responses.
Right.
So what type of like crisis situation is this? What do we have to do
Well,
now that
right
we
now,
don't have that?
that was kind of my question to Dan when I talked to him today. I said, you know, what is the deadline? And he's like, in theory, there isn't one because they understand how difficult it is to get it done. And everyone I've talked to has apologized about how sorry they are. Well, okay.
But does
Yeah.
not having this done now restrict what we can do in any way?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna change the mill levy and stuff, I mean, is not having this
The,
No.
prevent that?
No.
Does anything
No.
like
I
that
think
get
the
tied into
only
this?
thing moving forward is that once these other schools
Right,
get their
and
letters,
so then,
then-
because there's gonna be all these additional schools and counties that are probably gonna be looking for a different auditor, then it's gonna push this coming years
Mhm.
off farther. And it's kind
And
of.
not
I
to
don't,
mention
I don't
they're raise the price
get
of
excited
everything.
about jumping on the cheapest guy to do this when we just had a big backfire
Well,
for
we
that.
had the cheapest guy, so.
So taking the next in line, maybe not the best
But,
idea.
but the thing is too, this company might be a startup too, and they're trying to
Well-
build.
It's Widmer Roll. You've never heard, okay.
does he
I've
do,
heard
do
of
they
them
do
as far
schools? Do they have a list of references
I
that are
haven't asked
approved?
him.
Do
Did
they,
you,
asked him.
you talked to Shower and they didn't wanna do
I
it?
talked to her and she was semi-interested, but she would not even be able to consider it for at least 9 months.
And they'd be 12 to
They
15,
were 20 to 25,000 per year.
and this one was 12 to 15, and that was, so if they're to do 18 and 19 together, it'd be 25 to 30,000. And that's the same cost as what Ide Bailey was,
Ide Bailey was 20 to 30,000.
so it'd be the same
And
cost as Ide
my
Bailey.
personal opinion, and I've never dealt with any of them, I've never dealt with any of this, but the larger of a company that you get,
Mhm.
the less personal service you're gonna get, generally. And Ide Bailey and Brady Martz are the 2 biggest ones in the state that do school audits.
They're the only ones I've ever worked with is Ide Bailey.
So-
I've had luck with Ide Bailey too.
And I'll be honest, I ask a lot of questions, because I'm new and I need to ask a lot of questions.
So would they have to
Probably are.
redo an audit, or could we go to somebody and have them review our
They would
current
have to
existing
redo them
audit?
because there's
Mhm.
no working papers with the audit.
that's why we're in
That's why
this
we're where we are.
situation.
Because basically my thoughts are, the state is interpreting that since he has no working papers, he just kind of got my reports and filled out his audit and didn't do much work. And the Dan, when I talked to him today, said that when they hire a new staffer, they typically expect that they can take on between 8 and 10 new clients for that one person that they've hired. And he said Harold was doing a considerable number more than that.
So is he willing to create those working papers? I mean, can he go
doesn't
back?
have them, probably. I mean, I don't know, but
Well-
apparently he's not because he didn't respond to their request.
So I
I
think,
don't
So we've paid for a
We've
service
not
we
paid.
haven't
We
received.
We have not paid.
He hasn't
He
billed
hasn't.
us since 2018.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
so maybe,
So that should be the first red flag.
Right, that was a red
It
flag
was-
for, like, I
It
told
was brought
Michelle,
up,
I said,
yeah.
I've had some red flag issues basically since COVID started in 2020. And it started when we got ESSER 1 funding, and I was like, I need help setting up these chart of accounts because I have no idea what I'm
Mhm.
doing. And he told me to put that money where we usually would put it, and we will do crosswalks and move it around.
Is that is that,
No,
Audit
I
in the
never,
budget?
I never did that. Or is the audit in the budget? Probably not.
No.
It's probably, no, because this is all new.
but
So I-
we've budgeted for an audit every year,
We
we've just
haven't
never
paid
been
an
billed for
audit.
it?
Right.
Yeah.
So is it in the would it be in there?
It's, could be part of the contingency part.
Contingency.
I don't even off the top of my head know where they've taken it from before.
So I think we
Because
need
it's
to have
been
our
so
budget
long.
and finance committee has to have a meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't, yeah, I mean, we can't, I don't think we can make a decision here tonight.
Lindsay, what did you walk into? I can't
So
decide if
who's on that committee?
When I told Mike, he's like, don't look at anything new for at least 3 days, cause he
Who?
can't
And
handle
Mike?
anymore.
Mike and Lee,
Mike, Lee, and
uh,
Eric.
Brent
I'm out
and
next
Eric.
week
Brent
until
as well.
Thursday,
I'm
so.
in there, I guess.
Are you
Are
on
you
that
going on a
one?
Me, Eric,
vacation
Mike,
at
and Brett.
least?
Brett.
Are you
I
going-
would like to be, because my sister's having a baby probably
Oh.
as we speak, so.
Yeah, that would,
That way when I don't get to it.
So what days are you going again?
I'm back on Thursday, but.
Next Thursday?
Yes.
Okay. We'll do something after next Thursday then, if into the following, probably not next Thursday, but the following week after.
So last week of September.
Yeah, if you're back on the 23rd, yeah, then we'll look at something the following week. I'll get a hold of the 4 members and see what works for them, and you can check your schedule too, Lindsay. But we'll wait till you're back and,
So my question is, if when the budget and finance committee meets, is it gonna have to come back to the board then to get approved, whatever is decided?
my thought would be no,
Okay.
that they could make that call, as long as the board is okay with them making that call, being we're in a kind of an emergency situation.
Do we need to make a
I
motion
think
on
we
that?
What do
have
you
to.
think?
I would just say that if you guys give them the approval, and then they find somebody, get them, and then it comes back to the board for approval, if you guys are okay with that.
I think we almost have to, I mean, I don't think we really have a choice. We're kind of we're in a pickle. Which makes me hungry.
Hate it when that happens.
Does that work?
Okay?
Anything else on that, on agenda item? Okay, tuition-free agreement approvals, in this one, just like, Lindsay said before, we have to have in there, granting permission for Vice President Michelle Elston to sign in.
On the
like,
president's
On
behalf.
the president's behalf. That has to be in the motion for the tuition-free.
And so this is for a student going to the Kensal Public School District. Tuition waiver.
I'll make the motion for
That's how it works.
the student to go with Michelle Elston signing on the president's behalf.
oh, okay.
They moved into the
Second.
district and thought they were gonna increase it.
Any discussion?
And then when we didn't hire them,
Roll
they
call.
said,
Rob.
Yes.
Chad.
Yep.
Cindy.
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Brent.
Sure.
Eric.
Yes.
Motion passes. Or approved, which way do I say? Facility use agreements.
We got 5, I got one from, the Ballers, Travel Ball, so you got Archery Dance, Share the Fun, 4-H, BCN Thunder, and BCN Ballers. And basically, I don't think it has to be approved, it just needs to be that you guys know about it, because Mike will have to, you have to sign on, that's what the facility use agreement has, the board president signs off on it, so. Just so you're aware that we are that I'm gonna allow these 5 to be able to use the facility. And then Archery for their tournament will need to show the certificate of insurance.
So we don't have anything.
Nope, just that those are the 5 that have so far done it, and Mike will sign off on those.
Awesome. Okay. Next is the service master proposal for janitorial services, which we
What's
have an update that came out, I don't remember when.
This
Oh,
morning.
I know.
This morning, right? The original proposal was for $28.50 monthly, but that was not including, that was only
That's
mopping.
right there.
That was only
They-
mopping,
Yeah,
right?
for some reason he didn't pencil it to like
Clean toilet. and-
actually clean the whole bathroom, it was just
Right.
to do the floor, so
Well, it
when I
actually,
looked through that, then I
yeah, cause it was,
questioned that today, so.
yeah, it wasn't checked off. I mean, like clean, sanitize fixtures and toilet bowls, all that. So that now, all 3 of those on that page are gonna be checked,
Yes,
and then it goes up to 3,000.
yes. So
Yep.
we've had this open for a long time,
Yep.
well, basically
Did the
since May.
calendars,
No.
I've tried a couple different avenues, I tried to get someone to come back, that didn't work, I tried, we had a person that that basically had applied, and the money and the insurance and everything just didn't pencil out for her to change from where she was at. And then we kinda hired somebody, and then it didn't work out for them after the fact or whatever, and so then we started school with one janitor. I would like to thank everybody for all the help. The kids have been helping, the teachers have been helping. I mean, it's been great to have that support, but that's a welcome that'll get wore out real fast if, you know, some of the duties, you know, some of the kids getting garbages and doing stuff like that, I think, I mean, it could keep going. It, you know, wouldn't be the end of the world, you know, for the kids to do some of those things, but, you know, to get back into more of a routine of, you know, having janitors, you know, clean everything, obviously be better. I think we need to, if we don't really know what we're getting into here. I mean, we have this service available, you know, maybe we'll like it, maybe we'll think it's the best thing ever, and we stay with it. If we're, you know, if we're not a huge fan of it, if we'd rather have somebody here, I think we keep advertising, try and find a way to get someone in the building. The issue I think we're gonna find is in Jamestown alone, on job service, there's like 6 openings for janitors. So to pull someone out of a Jamestown or a Valley City or whatever to drive out here for $15 an hour when they're not applying to the jobs that are in the towns they're in, I don't feel like that's gonna happen. I did have Lindsay send out kind of a feeler on what different places are paying or benefits or whatever, and that stuff is kind of all over the map. Price-wise, Maple Valley they have 1 full-time janitor. They hire a night cleaning crew similar to this situation, and then in the summertime they hire on, for them it's one of their assistant cooks, helps out cleaning in the summer. You know, I mean, we're really open to whatever. I mean, if this works, great, but I do think overall it would probably be better, you know, to try and get someone in here. But we also might have to look at raising that whole janitor salary area up to try and get, you know, so our current one would have to get raised, plus our starting would have to get raised, I think, to get someone to get out here.
And just so everybody knows, I was stopped as I came in here by the current one. And because she's doing a job of 2 janitors, she's thinking that she should get paid more too, so. I told her to bring it up to the board, but that's, you know.
Is Service Master who Maple Valley uses by?
Service Master actually has Ron Manson out of Sanborn.
Okay.
I don't know if it's him and his wife or him, and I don't know what he does for sure, but that's who is going to Tower.
Okay.
They had used Service Master in the past. I don't know what, if they're, you know.
But it's the same place that you got a quote from? Or am I reading that wrong? Cause you did Service Master a quote?
No, it's different.
Not the same that Maple Valley uses
Right.
then, okay.
Yeah.
So,
And this is month to month, right?
Yes, we can
We
go,
can go month
yep,
to
we
month.
can go monthly. So say
And they want 30 days. right?
Say next month we find somebody that's just, oh, I'd love to be there, then we just tell them, hey, you know, we're gonna be done, you know, we're gonna be done doing this. And yeah, they would like 30 days, I'm sure they can, you know, we can flex some on that, but, you know, we need to hire someone, we need to get all their paperwork, all that stuff, so I mean, it will take a while. You know, so
And-
that could be fairly smooth if we
I'm
find
just-
someone.
this is a night custodial, so there's no interaction with kids, so we don't have to worry about.
Yeah, it'd be, I think he said, you know, like 4 o'clock at least, that they would be here. On nights of games, they just wouldn't do, you know, the locker room portion or whatever, that would get, you know, that would get pushed to the next day or whatever, since there'll be people in there, so.
Question, they bring their own supplies, or we still have to provide cleaning supplies?
I believe it was using our stuff.
Lots of times they supply their own too, but if it's, that would even be a better deal. If they use ours, I guess that's a wash, we already have it.
That, I mean, I'm sure whatever they use is, you know, is approved or whatever, but I mean, if we're using our own stuff, then we don't have to worry about, well, what, you know, what cleaner you're using or what, you know, we don't have to monkey with that, we just have, you know, what we've been using
Is that, how often would they be in the building then?
daily.
Daily.
Monday through Friday then.
Do you know how many hours they'd be in there?
Or how many people?
I don't know, I think it would, I suppose, vary based on what he's, you know, if he's basing that on 2 people for a few hours or whatever, you know, I told him when Dave was here, it was basically from, you know, either 3 to 6 or 3 to 7, you know, with one person, so.
Well, if we can go month to month, I think we at least give them a shot for 60 days at least or whatever, or
Take some of the pressure off
Take some-
everybody else too.
yeah.
for-
because something's gotta be done, and like you said, we don't have people knocking on the door to come out here to work, so.
Yep, and I just, you know, it's tough, we're pinched because it's not like a regular place where you can just say, you know, well, Eric, how much would it take for you to come do that? You know, we're not
Right.
necessarily at liberty to do that, we can't jockey around insurance, you know, we're kinda stuck in, you know, the only way to do any of that would be to raise that whole custodian area up. And, you know, we're well within, you know, I don't know which one, the boundaries or whatever of where other people are at. I mean, we're not, there was multiple over 20. You know, there were some places on job service that were offering as little as 12, but, you know, you're also in a little different scenario here where, you know, if you have them here during the day, you know, they've gotta pass background checks. We, you know, don't want the people that are gonna be stealing things or on drugs or not showing up to work. You know, so it's, you know, to me, it's a more kind of specialized area than other places where you could be, I suppose, doing that same position.
Any other discussion on that? Do we need to make a motion to approve this?
I think
If
we.
you're going to, you're gonna have to make a motion, yes.
Well, that's gonna be like, what, 3 times the cost of hiring someone then?
Hmm,
No, no.
I mean, if
People
you're
are
3
washed.
if you're 3 hours a day to clean in the afternoon,
Oh,
on 20 days a month that they'd be cleaning roughly, at $15 an hour, that's $900.
Yeah, we pay a person 8 hours though. If we had
Yeah,
somebody
we
here
pay
in the
full
building,
day.
we'd have an 8-hour person.
so then you're looking at.
If you figure,
about
you take
2,400.
that column there. By a third.
About $2,500.
Well, and hopefully it's temporary.
And hope,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
But there too, that also doesn't pencil in, you can't just go the $15 an hour because you have to add the insurance, you have to add, if they're gonna do the 4% match, you have to add all those different,
Yeah.
you have to add the horse man, I mean, you,
Oh,
if it's
every
15,
little
it's
thing,
costing you 25.
At least.
you know.
I mean, I think we do it for a couple months and see what happens, and maybe Bud can, you know,
Maybe we
find somebody or get an idea of what else we could do, but
Some
at
of
least
these,
this is a stopgap for a while.
some of these students go work at different places. I mean, is there any way the school could hire a student? Is that possible?
When we opened it up for the summer, we had one applicant, and they're in every sport there is right now. She worked out great, but, you know,
We have
it-
school to work kids helping during the day, I see, you know, like we have kids wiping the tables after lunch
Yeah.
and helping move them and,
I mean, could that
So-
actually be, they get paid
I-
to do that or not? I mean, maybe there's no one that could do
No,
it.
he helps me, and I didn't have to ask him or whatnot, he just started doing it. I mean, I was helping Joan clear the tables, wipe off the tables, move them out of the way, cause that's normally what Dave does, so that she could start on the other stuff, and then he was out there
He
doing
just
it,
started
and I
doing it?
asked, did you ask him to help? No, he just was
Oh my
out here, and he's
gosh, he's
been
done
out
it
there
every day.
every day, you
So
know,
could
he just.
could the
He needs
school
a
hire that
person.
person to do that?
I don't know what the live.
The only,
are.
the only issue is it's that little time, and then that's in the middle of the day, and he's in
Yeah.
class, he's got school the rest of the day.
Yeah.
But
What would the option, I mean, is that,
I'd make a motion to try them for a
Yeah.
month or two.
Yeah,
The fact
Give
that we
'em a
have
try and-
flexibility and can,
yeah.
We
As
can
long as we're not
cut
a
it
long-term
loose.
contract, let's just go month to month and see what happens.
Yeah. By next month, you can report back if they're great or if we cut them loose.
do we have a motion then?
Sure.
Yeah,
Brett,
Brett, I'll second.
second, okay. Any other discussion? Roll call, Lindsay.
Rob,
Yeah.
Chad,
Yep.
Cindy,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Lee,
yes,
Brett,
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Any other new business that we missed?
Just a question, if we could, next year when we have this meeting, if we could just, instead of having a time on the regular meeting, if we just say immediately following the
Tax meeting?
tax meeting,
Then we can roll right into it.
then we can roll right into it.
You didn't enjoy visiting with me while you were waiting?
No, not really. Rob tried to talk you out of it, but
10 minutes is one thing. 45.
So that would just be when we schedule next year, is that?
Yeah, when we schedule next year, just, cause then you don't have to wait for that time to start.
That's a thought.
I'll
Yeah,
make
but
a
it
note
could-
when I do the schedule for next year.
how's that gonna work if you?
Can you do that?
Can you do that, cause it's not a posted time and it's an open meeting?
I'll check on it and find out.
Okay.
Well, not only that, but now you got no end date on it. If this gets contentious, time, it's done.
That's true too, if they could continue it on for 3-4 hours for a public hearing if there's no.
Will you check into it,
Yep.
and then we'll talk about it, okay?
That was just a question.
Do we have any correspondence? Nothing? All right, we will adjourn. Our next meeting is Tuesday, October 19th. Remember, Tuesday at 7 PM, and we are adjourned.
Everybody
Just
try to
bring the
remind
topic.
everybody of that.
Not go.